Hello, YouTube. Kage Shinma here. You've seen Wren, Tabbi, Yuki, and Destiny in front of the camera for several weeks now, each to have their own rants and express their opinions on things, as well as the occasional debunk video. Now, it's my turn. I was wandering through YouTube while prepping images for Wren's new debunk video when I came across something in the suggested pile. It was a release trailer for a game called Hatred, with the game's logo similar in style to Doom. Now, I love me some Doom. I was good at it back in the age of the dinosaurs, but I wound up putting it down, along with most of my button-twitching games when I started to work in electronics. Using a soldering iron on a piece of equipment that cost more than you're going to make in several lifetimes gives you a want for steady hands that aren't sore from clicking a mouse whilst slaying demons en masse. I was expecting something similar from the logo and title, and was not pleasantly surprised at the content of the video in question. Yes, there are murderous nutcases out there, and no, I don't know anyone that hasn't at some point wanted to go on a rampage and shred some nitwit or group thereof that has offended them, or whatever group they happen to identify with. Watching Gamergate the last several weeks, I can see a few people on the anti-side that would easily fall into this category. Particularly those that believe that it's about anti-feminism and misogyny. I was a bit leery at first about either side, until the rest of the gang staged an intervention. There's something to the assertion that the media is having a severe ethical problem. But I digress. The trailer has produced a wide variety of responses, and I can't say that I'm surprised. On one hand, it's discriminate and hyper-violent, and maybe that's not so good. On the other hand, it's something that could be used as catharsis, and perhaps prevent something similar from happening. I don't know, myself. It doesn't look like something I'd buy, although I have a couple of games that play out similarly in my collection. Loaded and its sequel Reloaded, for example, and all three Diablo games have similar gameplay, with the exception of stuffing a projectile weapon into someone's mouth and pulling the trigger. Ugh. Personally, I'm torn. On one side, I can see where that sort of angry escape might be okay, as long as you remember that it's a game. On the other hand, there is always the fear in the media that gets passed on to the consumer that this sort of postal crap will get into the heads of crazies and they'll go ballistic. Let me assure you, Jack Thompson was wrong. Video games don't cause violence, and I have looked at the studies. They can't even find a correlation, let alone causation. Rather, all of the studies I saw and the statistics from the DOJ say the reverse. The overall rate of violent crime has been going down since video games became a thing. Sad part is, Jack Thompson had a better case than Anita Sarkeesian, and he had no case at all. Strangely, it keeps coming up. I wonder why. I can't say that I like this idea, but at this point, time will tell. When the pre-release trailers hit YouTube, I'll probably be back to chat about that, too. As a game, it's at least as valid as Gone Home or Dear Esther, but it's at the extreme other end of the violence spectrum. One of those has a really good story even, and I'll leave you to guess which one. People comparing it to Postal need to be paying attention, though. Postal was a first-person shooter. This thing is an isometric shooter, and thus has more in common with the Diablo series, the Loaded series, and Hotline Miami than it ever will Postal. Right down to the attitude. With all the venom flying around about it in the game's media, the Gamergaters are likely to buy it just to piss people off. Hell, I'm probably going to buy Bayonetta 2 just to piss on the chips of the prudish guy Wren mentioned over at Polygon. I read the review, although I forget the reviewer's name. I thought the nasty ding he gave it was just obnoxious. Just sayin'. I'm going to wrap up here with a couple of announcements. 1. You may have noticed ads on the channel of late. Long story short, for as much time as we spent doing this YouTube thing, we really need to be getting something back out of it. A lot of the gear is in dire need of replacing, and the current budget just won't take that kind of strain. If the Patreon gets to the point where I said I could give up considering ads, then they'll go away. If we can do better than that, so much the better. The other is that if there's some interest, I have some writings that could use a good savaging, and I'll be happy to set things up in a sort of audiobook form, read by the staff and friends here. With that, I'll sign off for the moment. Wren has her debunk to check, and then a game to play, and she'll be back with her usual craziness later in the week. You all have yourselves a pleasant day.